Hello and welcome to my Southern Exposure. It's Joseph Manuel Alvelo here, the host. Today's date is Sunday, June 28th, 2020. Just to give you a little bit of a personal greeting, I've been working at my house for the last month and I'm pretty close to being done with fixing my dining room ceiling that fell in during all the rain. And I also want to say thank you to our over 4,000 viewers 2 weeks in a row. And that's pretty much it for me for my personal greeting. I want to say hello to Rajee and ask you how your week has been so far.
Hello, everyone. Rajee Narinesingh here. Trans activist, author, mystic, actress, reality TV personality. You all get that I'm a lot of things. So, welcome back. I'm excited. We have another show. It's going to be fabulous. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I had a revelation this week, and I'm going to share that with you all later in the show. So, I wonder what Mr. Mick has on his mind. What do you think, Mr. Mick?
Thanks for that, Rajee. Hope all of our viewers are well. Hope everyone's healthy. Hope you're all wearing masks if you step outside. I think that is what has kind of consumed my week, mostly so far, thinking about that, thinking about the protests that continue to go on and all of the discussions that we are continuing to have about police officers and race relations in the United States. I don't really know how anyone else can think about anything else right now. So if you're not thinking about that stuff a little bit, you might want to reassess your priorities. But if you have any questions or any topics that you think we should be discussing that maybe people aren't discussing, you can always hit me up or Rajee or Joseph at our email addresses at My Southern Exposure. But mine is at Mick at MySouthernExposure.site. Again, that's Mick, M-I-C-K, at MySouthernExposure.site. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to the man in charge, Joseph, to get us started today.
Oh my goodness gracious, Mick, thank you so much. And thank you so much, Rajee. And thank you for reminding me that I forgot to give people my email address. So it's Joseph at MySouthernExposure.site. Rajee, I'm sure, will adjust that accordingly when she gets back on. The topics for today are big, robust, and juicy, just like all three of us. We also have another guest that'll be on a little bit later this evening. So I just want to toss up the topic and the subtopic and see what both Rajee and Mick have to say in a short little nutshell, so to speak. The topics that I brought up for discussion are mental and physical health for humans, as well the subtopic, pet health. So just like those of us who are going through this big hot mess, the pets that we take care of are also having the same problem. So Rajee, what do you got to say about it?
Mm-hmm. So, from my experience, my life experience, I feel that we human beings are like three things. We're mental, physical, and spiritual. Those are the three areas. And what I found is that in order for me to feel complete and whole, I have to nurture all three. So, of course, when something happens with our physical body, we take care of it, especially, pain is a wonderful indicator that something's wrong with the physical body. And, a lot of times if you're feeling depressed, maybe you're not feeling complete spiritually or you're searching for something. And so that's very important. And then the mental, the topic that we're talking about on today's show, mental health is so, oh my God, so important. And as a trans woman, multiracial trans woman of color, I certainly started to, I would say, heal from all of my trauma and everything that I had been through when I started going to therapy. So I think, it's important, not saying everyone has to go to therapy, but that mental health, you got to get it in check because what's going to happen is all three are connected. So if one area is off, it's going to affect the other two areas. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel the same way in terms of just the fact that mental health is something that we don't really talk about all that often. And even if it's also just something that I feel like even in school you're not taught. Like when we were in high school, we only had a semester of health class, like not even a full year, not even 2 years. We literally just have a semester of that, as opposed to having 4 years of math classes, 4 years of science classes. Not that there's anything wrong with those subjects, but in the grand scheme of things, I am dealing a lot more with my personal health than I am with parabolas and Bunsen burners. So I think that's really interesting that we, as people, don't acknowledge or worry about the fact that we're not taught about our bodies in school already. And then on top of that, it's like even during those discussions, you're having discussions about like how muscles work or how diseases work, but you're never really talking about like mental health. So I think that a lot of us just have, quite frankly, just like warped views of what mental health is like supposed to be, because a lot of us just don't understand it, and a lot of us have never been really forced to kind of like face or reckon with our mental health. I know I personally have thought a lot about it just in more recent years, just because I'm very anxious and the news doesn't help. And I think that you can only lay so much onto your friends because your friends are not trained therapists. So it is important to care about your mental health. And that's something that I have been trying to really strive and do more so for myself, but it's just not really been, it's just another thing that I also have to worry about that I haven't had time to worry about because there's so much else to worry about, which in and of itself exacerbates the problem. But that's kind of my overview of mental health from a personal standpoint and just personal observation. So I'm going to send that back to Joseph now, so he can keep us going.
All right, thank you so much. And also Rajee, I'm going to just give a little bit of a tease to the audience about the segments that are going to be coming up a little bit later in today's show. So I am focusing on COVID. That's my thing. It has been ever since the beginning, and it's the reason why I even started the show and was prompted to do this. And I'm happy that Rajee and Mick are available to be able to do this safely from their homes, and we can hopefully impact people in a positive way. So I will have some information for you later about COVID. I want to see what Rajee has to say about the trans update. Rajee, what do you have in store without giving everything away? A little teaser to make people keep listening.
Yeah, sure. Well, you know, this is Pride Month, and this weekend there would have been a lot of Pride festivals happening around the country. So, you know, being home this weekend, you know, like many of us, I couldn't help to start thinking about, like, you know, my pride as a transgender woman and the evolution to my pride. Because the thing about LGBTQ people, a lot of us, we live with shame and guilt because of who we are. And I'll get more into it later in the show, explaining what I mean by that. But it's very powerful, and I think each and every one of us truly have to work on that. There's some maybe exceptions, but I think for many LGBTQ people, it's you know, it's a job. You know, it's a journey. You have to work on being proud of who you are. So yeah, that's where I'm at as far as the trans update, and I'm gonna definitely get more into detail and more juicy. You know, I also want to say if you all want to reach out to me, it's Rajee at my Southern Exposure.site. So what do you think, Mr. Mickey? I know, Mickey, I know you might probably get on your nerves with that. I'm sorry. Okay, Mick.
I'm always muting myself and forgetting that I mute myself, but you're not bothering me at all. People call me Mickey all the time.
Oh, okay.
My neighbor calls me Mickey, actually, which I'm totally fine with because I'm like, you're my neighbor. Like, that's totally, I don't really mind. I kind of like,
You're funny.
But for my update, obviously, as you guys know, I care a lot about music. I work in music, and the main thing to focus on for this week is that this week is Bandcamp Friday. If you go to bandcamp.com and if you buy anything on Bandcamp, all of the proceeds go directly to the artist, which means that you can directly support your favorite artist just by buying from them on Bandcamp for that day. A lot of artists will also most likely be dedicating portions of their funds, if not all of their funds, to go towards Black Lives Matter affiliated charities, organizing groups, political groups. So definitely I would recommend getting out there and just looking around Twitter, looking around Bandcamp itself to find out if any of your artists have anything that you maybe want to buy and if you can support them. But yeah, so a little bit about that and a little bit also just about the state of music journalism as it is right now. But I'm not going to give that all away, so I'm throwing it back to Joseph again. Joseph?
Yes, thank you so much for that, Mick. I greatly appreciate that. I am going to tell some people locally about a handful of companies, and it's not going to take that long. It's almost like 2 and 2. I don't know if you remember 2 minutes and 2 seconds, like Pat Sajak used to say. WeGo LLC is a local owned company that operates in Fort Lauderdale and services Wilton Manors, Middle River Terrace, and Oakland Park areas as well. If you pre-plan with them, you can make your life a lot easier during these stress-filled times. If you need a ride to or from work, need to get your groceries, store shopping done, or if you even need your laundry services, they are available. No contact, no touch options, make things safe for you and also the drivers or delivery people. They will be wearing face masks and shields. And in addition, after each and every passenger in the car, if you are one of those, they will be sanitizing as well. You can visit www.wegolllc.app to learn more. Plan 24 hours in advance because services are subject to availability. Don't forget, www.wegolllc.app. Contact them today. You will not regret it. If you are looking for a cleaning solution in the Wilton Manors, Middle River Terrace area, or Fort Lauderdale, do I have the answer for you? Yeah, I do. Trustworthy Cleaners has been cleaning houses, vacation rentals, pools, boats, and cars for over 10 years. They do have some new procedures and protective measures, but they are open and ready to serve you. Now, with no contact options to keep you and their employees safe. You can email them directly at trustworthycleaners33304@gmail.com. They have excellent references, local workers. You can help support a local business today by reaching out to them. That's trustworthycleaners33304@gmail.com. And if you need to get some business cards printed or even face masks as well as hand sanitizer, you can go to Minuteman Press. Minuteman Press is locally owned in Wilton Manors, and that's where they design, print, and promote you. It's their business to help your business grow. Minuteman Press is there for all of your printing needs, and they've evolved, I should say, into doing much, much more. You can make sure to call them. The number 954-731-5300. Minuteman Press is located in Fort Lauderdale, just south of Wilton Drive on 4th Avenue. Just call them today, 954-731-5300, and you can learn more. Tell them my Southern Exposure sent you. And if you like this cute little haircut, one of my favorite people to have come over at a safe distance in my backyard is Cat Rio. Cat Rio provides a custom haircut that will suit your individual personality. You'll never have to worry about looking like anyone else ever again. You can stand out from the rest. Cat Rio will come to you 7 days a week. If you live in the Fort Lauderdale or Wilton Manor area, you got to text her. Her number is 954-984-4040, or you can visit her website, catriocuts.com. That's K-A-T, Rio, K-U-T-S.com, and you would be helping support a local person in the neighborhood be able to get through these hard and difficult times. So let's start talking about mental and physical health. This is going to be a very interesting 20 minutes. I have to put the piece of paper off to the side. I know you're playing around with some images back there, Mick, and I can't wait to
I
see what you
love
come
it,
up with.
actually. I
I
love
know
it.
he's bouncing
Oh
around
my
with a whole bunch
God.
of stuff. I can't wait to see what he's doing a whole bunch of graphics back there. But
Ooh,
you
look
know
at
me.
that color.
You know me. I gotta give some numbers. I'm the numbers guy. I do a lot of research before every show, and I want to bring up mental health first, and then we can move on to physical health later for human beings. I just want to bring up some basic information that I found. It said, and this is from a 2013 study, 1 in every 6 Americans takes a psychiatric drug. That means antidepressants and also anxiety relievers and antipsychotics. We discussed drugs a couple of weeks ago, and I just wanted to do a little bit of a tie-in from the old topic to the new one. So basically, 1 in 6 US adults reported taking psychotic drugs such as antidepressants and sedatives in 2013, a relatively new study found. I didn't go with the CDC information. I really don't trust the government. I found some different information. Scientific America is where I found this. The new data comes from an analysis done by the Medical Expenditure Panel Survey, MEPS, that's MEPS, which gathered information on the cost and use of healthcare in the United States. An earlier government report from 2011 found that just over 1 in 10 adults reported taking prescription drugs for quote unquote problems with emotions, nerves, or mental health. There, I have a lot more information, but the authors wrote in a research letter published in 2012 of December in JAMA, International Medicine, that information. So there's demographic information. I have a list of 10 different ways for you to do things that are fun for mental health. 5 of those were professional people's perspective, and I'm the last 5. So Rajee, what do you have to say about mental health and human beings? I've been talking for 2 minutes too long, probably.
Well, to me, the numbers don't surprise me. I mean, no matter who you are, the world that we're living in, especially now, there's so much going on. And, you know, people are home and they're watching the news and everything that's going on. You know, like 1918 meet 1964, if you get my drift. And that, you know, one is enough to deal with as a human being in the world, but 2 together, a lot of people are depressed. A lot of people are worried and concerned. And, you know, I myself I find myself feeling like I'm being pulled into the depression a little bit, but then so far I've been able to catch myself and not go there. But it doesn't surprise me, those numbers, at all. And you know, personally with my journey, I started going to a therapist in around 2010. And before that, I hadn't seen any therapists, and basically I was kind of going through life, biting the bullet. I had been through a lot of different trauma, and I was holding all of that in. And when I finally went, I was diagnosed with agoraphobia, PTSD, and depression. So, you know, it's surprising. I was like, oh my God, I've been dealing with all of that, and I still was able to like pretty much function in life and live life. But yeah, it's heavy duty. And as the years have gone on, I've worked through those things, and I feel like for the most part, I've come a long way. I think, you know, I've come a long way, and I think that I wouldn't say that I'm completely whole. I mean, there's areas that I still need to work on, but I certainly have come a long way. Mickey, do you experience any of that? The, you know, depression or the agoraphobia or anything like that?
I mean, I've never been professionally diagnosed by anyone, so I can't personally say for certain that what or if I suffer from any like mental ailments. I will say though that like I definitely have a lot of like neuroses that I've had even before just kind of everything kind of became the way that it is with COVID, and now on top of that, the protests that are happening and whatnot. Um, Being alone with your thoughts is really hard a lot, because you just start thinking about the things that maybe you haven't done because you're stuck inside. You start focusing on your past actions and things that you have done, and basically just sitting there and thinking about whether or not you're a good person or whether or not you've done the right thing. And um, I think that that's something that definitely plays into mental health, because as you were saying, Rajee, was that you went to a therapist and you ended up getting diagnosed with a lot of things that you didn't realize that you were carrying around. And I think that that's something that is very telling with what I was saying before about how we're not taught about mental health. Really the only time you ever see it is if you see it in media, where like someone goes and sees a shrink, or the one mentally ill person is the person who like commits the crime or whatever it is. You never just see anyone who's just at it. You're not to say that you never do, but you really don't often see someone who's just in therapy just to be in therapy, and they're just working some things out. So I think that for one thing, there just needs to be a general, more of like a public awakening when it comes to mental health, because there's also people who still think that like going to a shrink makes you weak, or that going to a psychiatrist is more damaging to your health, depending on what beliefs you have. But I'm kind of going on a tangent with that. I want to reel it in and see if Joseph has any points that he maybe wants to have us focus around for right now. Joseph?
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Rajee, both as well, especially for sharing your story. I want to bring up a couple of other interesting points that I found. Some demographic information about differences between sex and race and all of that. And it's definitely a good talking point. Psychiatric drug use differed among adults of different ages, sex, and race. The researchers found, for example, nearly 21% of white adults reported taking psychiatric drug, compared with less than 9% of Hispanic adults, according to the report, which is interesting to me. Older adults also reported a higher rate of psychiatric drug use. 1/4 of adults aged 60 to 85 reported taking at least one of these drugs, compared to with less than 10% of adults between the age of 18 to 39, the researchers found. In addition, nearly twice as many women as men were reported taking psychiatric drugs, 21% compared to 12%, according to the report. So that's the drug information. I just wanted to bring up that information to see what your thoughts are about that. Why you think that there's a difference between male and female, why you think there's a difference between white and Hispanic. Rajee, what do you have to say about that, or what do you think about that information that I just read?
Well, I think the male and female one is that, females from young are basically encouraged to show their emotions. If, a little girl cries, it's not a big deal. They're more open and allowed by society to express their emotions, whereas male children aren't. If a little boy is crying too much, you'll hear a lot of times, oh, stop acting like a little sissy, or, shut that up. And so from young, little boys are taught to stifle their emotions, not show them. They're feeling it, but they're not showing it. Because it was an interesting study. I forgot where the study was from, but basically they had a documentary on TV. This is many years ago. Well, not many, but I would say probably like 10 years ago. And they had these little boys in a room, and they had hooked up all this stuff to them. And they were showing them emotional footage. And when I tell you to look at these little boys, you would think they were okay. They were just there looking at the footage, but the monitors were going crazy. So it was showing that you know, they were feeling and having the emotions, but they weren't expressing them. They were holding them in. So I think that that's, you know, that goes into adulthood with women and men, you know, wanting this or wanting or even feeling like they have to be macho and like, you know, the strong one, and they can't, you know, and if they admit to wanting to go see a psychologist, that means they're weak. Whereas a woman saying it or doing it, it just, it's not, I think, as difficult for a woman to admit, oh, well, you know what, I'm going through some things. And also, I think it's more acceptable by society to see a woman do that and, well, maybe you should go for counseling and that sort of thing. So that's the male and female part. The race part, well, you know, there's many races that, you know, the Latino race or Hispanic race, and then, you know, the African American race, you know, therapy was just not talked about. And culturally, you know, it's almost like, oh, you know, if you're going through something, hush up, don't talk about it. You kind of bury it away. And so that's my take on the race thing.
Yeah,
So yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I kind of want to build on that just because I think one of the reasons that, at least what you were talking about, Joseph, in the sense that like there's a far greater portion of the white population that is taking this medication as opposed to like the black population. For one thing, that has to do with the fact that statistically, most white people have more access to health care and like certain types of doctors. So for one thing, that already puts many Black people at a disadvantage because they're not able to go to see a therapist. They're not able to go to a doctor and then go. What also complicates that is that, I mean, this is something that people have talked about a lot, but it's like medical racism and like the ways that our healthcare system is very prejudiced against Black people. But the fact that doctors they've done studies where it's shown that a lot of doctors genuinely think that Black people, especially Black women, have a stronger or higher pain tolerance than most people, so their pain is not taken seriously. So even if a Black woman happens to go and see a therapist and suggest, you know, like, I've done my research and I think that I may suffer from anxiety or I may be bipolar or something, unfortunately, the thing is that chances are is that many physicians or doctors might not prescribe them anything because they think that like they think that this Black person doesn't need it. So it's not. So I'm with what Rajee was saying. It's like it's this combination of like cultural backgrounds, but also just the fact that this system, as many of the systems in this country are they operate in like racist ways, and it's unfortunate because that means that many people of color, specifically Black people, aren't able to get access to these types of medication. For one thing, they might not have access to it just because they might not have health insurance, or they just might not be able to afford being able to go see the doctor. And then even if they get to the doctor, there's no guarantee that this doctor is going to take their complaint seriously. So it's kind of a double-edged sword in a lot of ways, because it's like, all right, maybe you finally are able to go and see a doctor and you're finally thinking you're going to get to the bottom of this, and then you get there and they tell you that there's nothing wrong with you, or they give you a completely different diagnosis because so
you know, I wanted to say, Mickey, that's so, like, you really hit on those two things so great, because the whole thing of like systematic racism along with the social economical status of people of color, that definitely plays a part. I also wanted to say too, the church, and with people of color, a lot of times if you're going through something, it's like you don't go to a therapist, you go and you pray. You pray, you pray to God, and God will take care of it. So that's another thing I wanted to bring up.
Oh, well, no, definitely. I think that as well. And then just, I mean, this just goes to more even just the core of what kind of a lot of Western cultures think about like a general like individual. It's not very collectivist. And the idea that if you have the willpower and as long as you are working towards it and you are really focused, like you can overcome anything. And it's just like the unfortunate truth about that aspect of life is that that's not true. Like sometimes you do need medication for like the mental stresses that you're going through. Sometimes you need medication to like get over the physical like stresses that are placed on your body. So I think that definitely, like you were saying, just like the church and just a general sense of individualism and this idea that that you can accomplish anything just as long as you put your mind to it. But if your mind's not working, then then you're kind of shit out of luck. But no one tells you that because that's not what's
right.
But I think Joseph is looking for some attention now. So Joseph, I'm going to throw it to you.
Yeah, it's not about attention. It's that I'm trying to bring up some mental health notes that are fun things to do while we are stuck at home in these unique circumstances. And there are 5 that I found that are proven, and then I gave 5. So after I'm done reading these, I would love to hear, Rajee, what you do to help with mental health, as well as Mick. So according to professionals, the first 5. Make someone, well, it says make yourself laugh. Tell yourself a bad joke. Watch some funny movies or videos on TV. I edited that and said Blu-ray or DVD because TV is creating too much stress for a lot of people with everything that's so negative that's going on. That was number 1. The second one was write a journal. If you write down your thoughts, it helps for you to be able to let that energy out if you do not have someone to talk with. The third one was something so simple. We all enjoyed it when we were kids. Get a coloring book or draw something and take out some markers and color it like you were when you were a child. It's fun, it's easy, it's simple, it's distracting. Another one is take a digital detox. Unfortunately for me and you, Mick, that means they won't be listening to us, but maybe if they can get some good from us, they can just not pay attention to anyone else for the rest of the week. And then the 5th one from the professionals is remove negativity from your social media feeds. Whatever those feeds are, wherever they're coming from, remove those. And I've been doing that for a long time. My additional 5 are exercise. I do it every day with my partner, luckily. And then I also do home gardening, and we play board games or card games with family members. My big goal is to make my partner's mom laugh every single day and also act silly with my partner after being together for 10 years. You got to do what you got to do. He stretches and does yoga on a regular basis. I'm not so pliable. I'm uptight and not as limber. And then the 10th thing that I do every single day is I play with my pets, like stupid playing with the pets. I can't play with the cat because she doesn't like to be played with, but I dance with my dog. She's big enough, she can stand up and dance with me. I tease the other dog. We swim in the pool together. I can't really play around with the fish, but I try to do whatever I can to get their attention. And that's what's helping me with my mental health during this big hot mess, as opposed to taking medication. Not that I frown upon it. If that's good for you, that's good. So Rajee, what do you think are some good ideas for mental health that have worked for you?
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely, I see a therapist. I see a therapist every week, once a week for an hour. With this whole COVID thing, we haven't been seeing each other. We've been doing we're seeing each other, but over, the internet. We're doing the telemedicine, and then sometimes we just do the phone session. But definitely a great sounding board for me. If I have anything on my mind, a lot of times he's just listening, and he'll definitely give me input, but it's just having that person kind of outside my world, no family or friend, but someone that's like, he's my friend, but what I'm saying is like, he's not necessarily connected into the immediate Rajee world. So it's like a third party type situation where I can talk to him about all sorts of stuff and not feel like, oh my God, I can't believe I shared this, or, oh, worry about that sort of thing. And then another thing, well, for me here at home, what I've been doing is I love baths. So I've been doing like Epsom salt bath and bubble bath, and it feels so good just soaking my body. And I've been doing that. Also, trying to watch some movies to kind of just get away from like the whole media thing on Netflix. So I've been doing that a little bit. And then, of course, with me, I'm very spiritual. So praying and meditating. And I find like when I'm worried about things, when I pray, when I go off to myself and I'm still and I pray and meditate, it it just makes me feel so much better. It's something that happens mentally with me that I feel like, okay, I can go forward. Mick?
Yeah, I'm thinking about what I tend to do to kind of keep myself calm and reduce my levels of stress. And I think a lot of it for me has to do with things like making sure that I'm taking time for myself, because I set a lot of projects for myself. I tell myself, all right, I have work today. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to practice a new language. I'm going to read up on what's going on. And you have to try and remind yourself that there's only so much that a person can do in a day. So setting reminders for myself is kind of, I guess, something that I do. The hard part I would find about things like removing negativity from my news feeds is that everything kind of right now is negative. And I think the problem is that we shouldn't turn away from it right now, because it is a lot of important things, such as discussions about police brutality in this country, discussions about race in this country, and the way that people of color, specifically Black people, are being treated. We have to be reminded that there are migrant camps where COVID is running rampant in this country. So it's hard to really say that I can take myself out of my social media or anything, or really take a break from it, because it's like, I think that there's a certain limit to how much you should expose yourself to it each day, but I don't think that it's also really responsible to completely take yourself out of it, because you should be aware of what's going on, and social media is, for better or worse, a place where that stuff is going on. But I find every so often, just because you can't go out, doesn't mean that you can't smoke weed at home, doesn't mean that you can't doesn't mean that you can't drink and get a little tipsy by yourself every so often. Don't overdo it, and don't use alcohol or really any form of drug as a crutch for your mental health. But I think that there's also something to be said about letting yourself get loose a little bit every so often. And if you tell yourself, all right, I'm going to save drinking for the weekend, or I save it for the end of the day when I'm done doing all of my work, you can tell, setting a little reward for yourself is helpful, because you can tell yourself, once you're having this reward, you're like, all right, I've earned this. I've done my writing for the day. I've done my physical activity for the day. I've called my family, or whatever it is that you set out to do. I think that's helpful. And then you should also just find out if there are certain meditation apps in your area that are free. I know here in Los Angeles, there's this app called Headspace. It's a meditation app, and if you live in Los Angeles County, I believe you can still get it for free, which I honestly should probably just try out, because it's might as well get it for free while I can. But again, it is just another thing that I would have to remind myself to do, and there's just a lot already on my plate. But yeah.
I wanted to say something. For a lot of people, it's hard to stop and meditate, and people are really what do you do when you meditate? And so I think that was great that you brought that up. Also, I want to say, you know what? Sometimes I have problems being still and calming my mind, but you know what you can do? It's simple. Anyone that's watching, stop and breathe. even if you take like 3 deep breaths in, because a lot of us walk around panting all day. We're not breathing like properly and taking the air in. So and that's it. Believe me, you will feel the difference. Just stopping and taking like 3 deep breaths, and it's that in itself is meditating.
It definitely is, Rajee and Mick. I understand what you're saying in reference to being busy and everything, and I've been like that ever since this whole mess started. First, I started doing little projects and whatnot at the house, and then I found doing this helps me. But gardening, exercising, swimming in the pool, playing with the dogs, and praying in my own way on a regular daily basis definitely helps keep me grounded. And thank God for me. The only vice that I have is 4 beers a day. Sometimes it looks like coffee. Sometimes it looks like a beer. So that's about it. But that's not a bad thing. I don't need anything else besides that. So anyways, I brought that up last time. What I want to bring up now is a little switching gears to change things up, because I know we're going to come back to this topic because we still have a lot more to deal with human beings. So, but I do want to bring up our pets. I don't know if you have any pets or not, Rajee. I don't know if you have any pets or not, Mick, but there's a lot of people who do. So it is estimated that there are over 78 million dogs and 85.8 million cats that are owned in the United States. So approximately 44% of every single household in the United States has a dog, and 35% has a cat. That's based off of the American Pet Products Association, the APPA, from 2015 to 2016. And believe it or not, your dog or your cat can also have anxiety. And there are several studies that show that your anxiety cannot pass to your pet, and there are several that say that your anxiety can pass to your pet. So, number one, my question for you, Rajee first, and then Mick, is do you have any pets or not? Or do you know anyone who has any pets if you don't? And do you think that the pets are affected with our anxiety or not? That's my first question for both of you. It's a 2-point question.
So for me, as an adult, I haven't had any pets, but as a child growing up, I had a pet, and it was a little poodle, a miniature poodle. His name was Harvey, and oh my God, Harvey was just absolutely wonderful. And pets, I think, because I have such memories of Harvey all these years later. I mean, like we're talking like many, 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 many years later, and he's in my heart. And I think for a lot of, especially here in America, we really value our pets, and our pets become like our family. They're really like family. And I remember when we got Harvey, it was just so much joy, and how in tune Harvey was with the family. And poodles are very emotional. They're very emotional dogs, and they pick up on things, and they get their feelings hurt easy. I remember one particular time, my mom scolded him, and he ran upstairs and got under the bed and would not come out for hours. My sister literally had to pull him out, pry him out, and his paws were dragging, gripping in the carpet, and he would not come out. We tried to feed him. He kicked the thing away. His feelings were hurt. And let me tell you, it wasn't until my mom made up with him that he started to come back and be his normal self. And so, that one experience alone, I was like, oh my God, look at this, check this dog out. How emotional he is and what he would do, because growing up, it was my sister and I, and then my mom and dad. So he wanted to be connected to all of us. So what he would do in the night is when we first went to sleep, he'd be in my parents' room. And then after a couple hours, he'd walk out of my parents' room and he'd walk down the hallway and he'd go into my sister's room and sleep with her for a couple hours. And then he'd come out and he'd wake up with me in my room in the morning. But I think that was his way of letting us know that he wanted to share himself. He wanted us to know that he cared about all of us. So yeah, I think they're great. I'm a dog person. I don't hate cats. But I love dogs.
Oh, definitely. Growing up, we always really had pets. We always had 2 dogs. When I was really, really young, my parents took in my aunt's Newfoundland. His name was Butch. And I have vague, memories of him. And, I'm not sure if they're memories that, I have or just memories of looking at old photos that kind of jog that memory. But we had him probably until I was about 2 or 3. And then we had a yellow lab named Sarge, who was just a very, very good dog, kind of just what you expect from a good boy, very loyal, listened, was very protective of our other dog, Scout, who was a Beagle Terrier, and she was adorable, very smart, very loud, very annoying, very much a character and someone that I know made a very big impact. Both of them made a very big impact on my family. And now we actually have 2 cats at home that my sister brought home because she and her boyfriend found this cat who had given birth to a bunch of kittens. So they kept one of the kittens and the mama cat, and then the other kittens were given up for adoption. And right now I don't have any pets. I also right now don't want a pet. It's not that I don't like them, and it's not that I don't care for them, but I am not at a stage in my life where I feel like I can responsibly take care of another pet, I think. And I think a lot of people buy pets thinking that they are, and then don't actually have the energy or the attention or the patience for a pet. I remember with old roommates of mine, one of my roommates had gotten it was like a husky puppy, I believe. And it was really, really, really cute. And he was like, "Can you watch him for a few hours?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm more than happy to." And by the end of those few hours, I was annoyed. I thought to myself, I don't want, this is annoying having to train this dog. It has a ton of energy. It doesn't know how to listen yet. And I would feel terrible if I had to leave it for a little bit. It would just be stuck at home by itself, and it wouldn't have anyone or anything to do anything with. And it made me really realize, oh, I don't need a pet right now. So it's not even something that's really been on my mind. And going back to that as well, leaving your pet at home alone a lot is not good for them. And I'm really, really curious to see, once everything, quote unquote, goes back to normal, which that's not going to happen. It's going to be a new reality for us. But when people start going back into work, if their job requires it, our pets are going to think that it's weird that everyone was home for all this time and they had all this time to their family, and now all of a sudden they're leaving again. And it's not like our pets know that there's a pandemic going on. So I think that's going to mess them up a little bit to see, oh, wow, everyone's been home for so long and now they're not. And now they won't listen to me and they won't stay. And I don't know why that is anymore. So I'm curious and kind of sad to see what our pets are going to be like after that. But that is my thought on pets right now.
Oh my God, I am with you. I'm with you, Mick. I don't think I can, I just don't think I would be able to really fully take care of a pet at this point in my life, because if you want to responsibly do that, you have to go take them to the vet and get their shots, and all kinds of stuff. It's almost like having a kid. And even if you get one that's older, when we adopted Harvey, we got him from the Humane Society, and he was an older dog already, so he was already trained and everything, so it was great. But yeah, we still had to take him to the vet, and then as he got older, the health issues that went along with that, and so it takes a lot of responsibility. It's interesting though, when you look at the world, isn't it something how we Americans really get into pets? Like a lot of places around the world, they don't really connect with pets like we do. Yeah.
I think that goes back into, again, like the individualist mindset of like, oh, in America, like you can do whatever you want and you can have whatever type of pet you want. So it's like, obviously people are going to go for your standard, like your dogs, your cats. Some people will have hamsters or gerbils or turtles, but like that's also the type of mentality that's the reason why we have people like the Tiger King, because people think, land of the free, like I can do whatever I want, I can have a pet tiger. And so then you get people who kind of just, anyone who's seen Tiger King can attest to that, but it's like people just get these pets and they don't know what they're doing with them, and they don't realize that they cost a lot of money, they cost a lot of time, and it's why like in the Everglades there's all these invasive species because people got these exotic pets and then didn't realize that they were going to have to do all this work with them and then release them into the wild and screwed up a bunch of ecosystems. So I think another thing is just like, I think people act like pets are just like some fun little accessory that you can get and something that you can just pop into your life, like, and really I don't think people think about it.
Yeah.
And so I think another thing that people just need to start considering for themselves is, why is it that you want a pet? What do you see your life being like with a pet? And are you going to be able to make that pet happy? Because that's another thing. Like, you have to be a responsible and humane owner. So, and that's not to say that like there aren't humane and responsible pet owners in the United States. Like, of course there are. But I think that there are so many people, like you hear about people who have like returned dogs to like the protection league that they got them from, or just like leaving their declawed cat behind when they like go off and move somewhere. And I think that it's just, quite frankly, like behavior like that is irresponsible. And if you're going to behave like that, like you shouldn't have a pet at all.
I think someone wants to say something.
Yes. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, yeah. So I wanted to bring up some information for you because you both brought up some good topics, and I wanted to let the audience at home know. The American Pet Products Association, the APPA, looked at industry-wide spending for the year on such categories as food, supplies, over-the-counter medications, live animal purchases, veterinary care, and other pet-related services in America. Americans spent $72.56 billion, that's billion dollars on their pets. That's 4% more than was spent in 2017. So the numbers I gave you were for 2018. The bulk of the money spent on pets was for food, with spending hitting just for food 30.32 billion compared to 29.07 billion. So that was a 4.3% increase. And to answer your question, Mick, and also Rajee, how much does it cost to have a pet? In terms of the necessities, you can expect the cost of a dog to start at a minimum of $395 in the first year and continue to cost at least $326 each year for basic necessities. So the next question, things that you both brought up, how much money is spent on pets each year? Over $500 is spent on pets, including supplies, medicine, veterinary services. So basically it's about $500 a pet. Just to bring up the fact, we have 2 dogs, a cat, 13 fish, and all of them, except for the fish, we planned for. We didn't plan for the cat. We didn't plan for the 2 dogs. And they've all been part of our family for more than, well, Miss Kitty Puss has been part of the family for 9 years, 8 years. And then Heidi and Karina have been part of the family for 6 years. And actually, Rajee has already met Heidi and Karina. She can't really see Miss Kitty Puss because she kind of hides, but Rajee has also seen our little fish tank. It's not little, it's big enough for a person to get in there, but it's a little fish tank. So I understand what you're saying, Mick, and actually to bring up, or I should say back you up with some of the information about if you can't have a pet, don't get one. Pet monitoring cameras with built-in treat dispensers are just like Pet Cube Bites. It flicks out food. If you're working and you hit a little button and you speak through a camera, the pet can hear your voice and you can give them some food and it's built in. So that's for the people that are going to be at work. For those of us that are at home, it's a different story. But there's 2 other things to do while you are away from your pet. Some dogs or pets have separation anxiety vests. So it's a swaddling jacket that's basically like a baby blanket, and it just makes them feel comfy and warm. So that's something that's an option to help relieve some of that anxiety. And then there's also toys and treats. And what we do here at the house, even though we're here with them, we put on cartoons. We have one TV that's cartoons, and we put on pet TV shows and pet DVDs so they can see dogs and cats playing, even if it's cartoons. And then they sit up and watch it, and they seem to enjoy that a lot. And then on the flip side, if you want to get your pet some calming supplements, that helps also as well. So, but I do want to field a question from someone who had text message, someone up in Cleveland, Ohio, who is joining our live event up there, who happens to be a friend of mine from 25 years ago. Rodrigo was asking about people that are not taking their medicines or checking in with their doctor provider, specifically gay men, because they're afraid to go somewhere, afraid to go to the doctor. Some people have certification things that have not been updated. And his question, one of those questions was about that. He has several other questions as well. One of the questions also was about mental health. I told him we already covered that. Then he was asking about physical health also as well. So we can come back to those topics and those questions in a little bit. But basically, I wanted to at least discuss the first round of pets. We can go back to mental health for people, physical health, because we haven't even covered physical health for people, or dietary, and nothing for pets either as well. I do just want to take a little bit of a break for Mick and Rajee and talk about a couple of businesses, so then they can take a minute and walk away or do whatever they need to do. So I will be back to you in about 2 minutes or less, Mick and Rajee. But for those of you at home, I want to tell you about WeGo LLC. It is a local company that operates here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that services Wilton Manors, Middle River Terrace, and Oakland Park areas as well. You can pre-plan with them, and you can make your life easy during these stress-filled times. If you need a ride to or from work, if you need your grocery store shopping done, they even offer laundry services. They'll pick up your dirty laundry, wash it, and bring it back to you. There are no contact, no touch options, make things safe for you and also the drivers or delivery people. They'll be wearing face masks and shields. And in addition, after each and every passenger in the car, they will be sanitizing as well. You can visit www.wegolllc.app to learn more. If you plan your trip 24 hours in advance, I would suggest that you do that because services are subject to availability. Don't forget, that's www.wegolllc.app. Contact them today. You will definitely not regret it. I do have to tell you about La Madame Supermarket. It's where I shop. It's close to where I live, right here in the Middle River Terrace area. It's perfect if you're looking for a great deal on produce, meats, or everyday grocery items. A great option if you live here in Fort Lauderdale or in the Middle River Terrace area. My partner and I shop there daily to get our items that we need to make our healthy drinks with our turmeric and ginger that we make every single day. Their address is 1548 Northeast 4th Avenue in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Their phone number is 954-314-7489. I think you should check them out on your own. You don't have to take my word for it. They are a locally owned small business right here, and they would definitely appreciate if you went to their store on your next grocery store run. That's La Madame Supermarket. And if you are looking to have some cleaning done and live in the Wilton Manors or Middle Terrace area of Fort Lauderdale, do I have the answer for you? Yes, I do. Trustworthy Cleaners. They've been cleaning houses, vacation rentals, pools, boats, and cars for over 10 years, and they do have some new procedures in place to protect their workers as well. There's new no contact options to keep you and their employees safe. You can email them directly at trustworthycleaners33304@gmail.com. Excellent references, local workers, support a local business. Reach out to them today. That's trustworthycleaners33304@gmail.com. So now that's out of the way. I unfortunately have to give a COVID update. And Rajee, you know you're next. Mick, right after that. So we'll see when Carlita chimes in. Hopefully she'll be in soon. But I'm trying to put a little light on the topic. But down here in Florida and also up by you, Mick, and in Texas, there's a lot of problems going on. So I'm just going to focus at this point right now. And if you want to chime in, you can for Los Angeles or California. But we have had almost a week of growing numbers of brand new COVID cases from 3,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 to 6,000 to 7,000. Now we're up to almost 10,000 brand new cases a day. We're up to almost 40,000 brand new cases of COVID within less than a week. So the numbers are currently 142,995 people in the state of Florida have COVID. A side note for you, Rajee, is hold on to your everything. We have over 198 in Wilton Manors alone that are tested positive. Fort Lauderdale is only 79 or 80. So this virus is definitely affecting us more profound than anyone is even talking about at all. And it's so frustrating and aggravating. So I know you're going to have something to say about it, and you're more than welcome to. The sad part also as well, 3,489 deaths currently. I'm still sticking with what my original projection is with 32 million people based off of the numbers that I did. We're only at 3,500 deaths. I'm still projecting 60,000 deaths. So it's not a good day. It's not going to get better. This is something that's not a quote unquote new norm, but it's something that we have to figure out a way to navigate around. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I hope you both will try to be careful as well and put on a mask and don't go places that you don't need to go. I just drove down the drive earlier today to do some grocery shopping. No one had any masks on. They're sitting so close to each other. It's like everything's fine. I recently read some information about bathhouses being reopened here in our neighborhood. Bars are reopening. So I'm basically saying sex clubs. It's ridiculous. So if the money is more important than your health, I really don't have anything positive to say. And I think that there are better options. Stay at home, get a vibrator, take care of yourself, or just have one or two people who come around and spray them down with like Lysol or do something. Try to be as clean as you can. I wouldn't say inject anything, but this is just ridiculous. It's not improving. It's getting worse and worse. And like I said before, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So that's the COVID report. If you want to add something later at the end, I don't want to distract you, Rajee. Please tell us about the trans update to change the light of the topic.
Well, first, I mean, I cannot go to trans update until I comment on what you just said. Oh my God, dear Lord. Okay, so I have to admit, about 3 weeks ago, I started to feel a little optimistic. I was like, okay, things are opening back up. You know, we're going to get back to maybe not what we knew as normal, but, you know, we'll be functioning and things will be back up. And maybe that was just me being a little too naive and optimistic, but now this week after hearing the news, I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like, are we really going to end up closing down again? And so, a lot of uncertainty in that area. And probably, like a lot of people are saying, not until there's a vaccine. But, the interesting thing about vaccines, there's going to be people, because there's a lot of people that don't do that flu vaccine either. They're like, oh, no, I'm not, I don't agree with vaccines. So I know there's going to be a group of people that will not want to take the COVID vaccine. And I see you, Joseph. You're like, hell no. Oh, my goodness. So I just had to comment on that because it really is, it's something I think that each and every one of us here on the planet are facing. So in regards to the trans update, I wanted to talk about like Pride. And, like I said, today, normally there would be a lot of festivities around the country, Pride parades and festivals and stuff. But because of COVID, there isn't. But I started to think about me as a transgender person and my evolution to feeling proud about that. And it didn't happen overnight. I mean, my thing is when you grow up and your family is telling you what you are and what you feel naturally is wrong, your community is saying you're wrong, and the world is saying you're wrong, what happens to a lot of us LGBTQ people is we deal with feelings of guilt. It's like this guilt thing that I think a lot of us deal with. And so anyway, oh my God, I think I have COVID. Hold on. Did I cough the right way? So anyway, that just means I'm running my mouth too much. But so I remember when I got out of high school and I went to my first gay club. And oh my God, I was so nervous. I was so scared. I was excited. I was curious, but I was nervous and I was so scared. And so all these emotions that I was dealing with. And back then in those days, a lot of the gay clubs were very inconspicuous. They were very secretive, like they'd be on a side street with one door, no lights or signs or anything. Very, very inconspicuous. And you almost felt like you had to sneak to go there, or, it was about hiding. And so I went to this club. It was called the Swan Club at Broad and Alany in Philadelphia, USA. And it was like my friend at the time, we're still friends to this day. He's a gay African-American guy. And we've been friends since junior high school. At that time, he was so daring, and he was the one that would always get me to do things. So he's like, you're going to this club on Friday. He had gone, and he had so much fun. So long story short, he got me to go. I was so nervous. But then I get into this club, and I'm like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. I was like a deer in headlights. I was like, wow. Oh, my God. Look, there's men dancing with men and women dancing with women, and all the lights, and it was so jovial and festive, and people just being themselves and feeling free to be themselves. And so needless to say, that was the beginning of many, many times at the club. And back then for LGBTQ people, especially, there wasn't any internet. So that's where you had to go to get a sense of community, to feel united, to feel connected with other people like yourself. And we had a saying back then. It was called, we'd say to each other, are you going to get your life this weekend? Which meant, are you going to the club? Because that's where you could truly be your authentic self. And so I then remember like my first Pride parade. I was like 23. It was New York. So it was like one of the biggest prides. Thousands of people, beautiful parade, had a great time, but I still felt overwhelmed. And then I started to think about, as the years have gone on and the different prides that I've been to, and in recent years, how I've been a part of some of the prides. Last year, I had the honor of being on the float for the Pride Center at Equality Park in Wilton Manors, and I was at the top of the float, and it was just a beautiful experience. But it took all of those years to chip away at the shame and the guilt I had for being trans. And that was my revelation this week. I thought, wow, like it didn't just happen. I was going to those prides and I was there, but was I really feeling proud? And so, you know, eventually I evolved to that. And a lot of things played into that. I mean, me going for therapy, me getting my medical care that I needed, my spirituality, my activism. That is powerful. There's something that's so powerful about standing up against something that is wrong. And you know, you can sit down and complain about something all day, or you can stand up and do something about it. And there's a power in that. So over 20 years of activism, so all of that played a role. And then of course, you know, we have a lot to be thankful for, because LGBTQ people in this country, we have seen some progression. You know, look, this month the Supreme Court passed work protection for us. So it's a combination of things, but that's my update this week, because I know it's a personal story, but I think that it resonates, and it will resonate to a lot of people. My pride wasn't there, and it just didn't happen overnight. It took many years for me to truly say that I'm proud to be a trans woman.
Well, honey, you know, all of us are proud of you. That goes without saying. And I'm sure Mick will definitely reiterate that as well. And I can't wait till the three of us can eventually, at a safe distance, be around each other and say hello. I don't know where or when, but we'll figure that out eventually. I think, Mick, do you have a music update, something to tell us about a little ditty boo?
For some
Don't
reason,
forget.
I wasn't unmuting. But thank you, Rajee, for sharing that. I think also as a gay person, it's like the idea of pride is not something that happens once a month, and it's not something that comes instantaneously. It's something that you have to learn for yourself, because everything has been conditioned to you to tell you that that who you are is unnatural and abnormal and just not the norm. So I'm still working on some aspects of my character and like learning to accept certain sides of myself. And on some level, like it is definitely frustrating, because it's like I wish I was maybe more in tune with certain aspects of my character. However, like it is something that needs to be done, and I just try to look on the positives of it, where it's like I have new things to learn about myself all the time, and you can always surprise yourself. So I think that's cool that you brought that up. But I'm not gonna I'm not going to infringe upon your topic, because I have my own topic as well. So as I've been telling everyone, coming up this Friday is Bandcamp Friday. This is the time to buy music if you are looking to buy music. If you've got a little bit of an expendable income right now, it's a great time to spend some money on music, especially for artists that you like, and especially if they happen to be Black artists. This is the time to support them. As I said before, everything that is sold on Bandcamp Friday goes directly to the artist. So if you go on there and you buy an album by, this is just an example, but someone like Animal Collective, that money will go all the way to Animal Collective. So as I've done in the past, I've given a few recommendations on certain artists that I think would be great for you to check out. I have a list of them still here. One of them is Shamir, and the song is called On My Own. It is a great synthy, poppy anthem to self-acceptance, which really goes into a lot of what Rajee was talking about, and what I agreed with as well. So Shamir, On My Own, that just came out this year. There's also Abra's Roses. Abra is out of Atlanta. Her handle on Twitter is @darkwaveduchess, which is very much similar to the type of music that she makes. It's very ambient. It's very sensual. It's very confident, and her album Roses from 2015 is probably one of the best album. Is just maybe not even necessarily the best album of the past decade, but just a great little hidden gem that I think a lot of us don't really pay attention to, even in the music sphere. So Abra, Roses, and then also Beverly Glenn Copeland. They are a composer and a artist who he really got his start in the 70s with his music, and kind of didn't really get the recognition that he deserved until more recently, when a case of his records were rediscovered in Japan, and this Japanese record store happened to sell a ton of his albums to a very, very interested clientele base, and it kind of revived his popularity amongst music listeners. That's really someone that I would listen to if you're really into a lot of like folky, but also like new age music. It sounds a lot like Joan Baez or Joni Mitchell, but he's fantastic. I would highly recommend Beverly Glenn Copeland. Their self-titled album, which is also called Beverly Glenn Copeland. He's fantastic. And then a few other people that I was interested in as well were Radio Galaxy, their album Nobody Digs Your Music But Yourself. Again, more fantastic music. It's kind of like if Vampire Weekend met Santa Gold. It's indie rock, but it's very funky, it's very groovy, and it's, how do I put this? I would say that it is kind of new agey, and that it's kind of like, it feels like a broadcast beamed down to you from space. So the word galaxy in their name is very appropriate. City Girls, Jobs, if you like Cardi B, if you like to dance, if you like to scam men, the City Girls are for you. They are the reason that everyone now says period all the time, because that was just their thing for a while. Their first album was called Period, but they're fantastic. Would highly recommend the City Girls. And of course, Case Tequila, Don Dada. It's a very fast-moving hip-hop track. It's kind of like a, it's very, very similar to a, I was going to say it's kind of like, no, it's very, very similar to a 90s house dance track. Highly recommend it if you're just looking for something to dance along to. Trying to arrange this so it's not in front of my face. But those are artists that I would recommend buying from this coming Bandcamp Friday, which again, Bandcamp Bandcamp is the name of the website, but this is another website that you can check out. If you're looking for more Black artists to support, blackbandcamp.info is a fantastic website. You can go on there and search for the artists themselves, but you can also search by genre, and they have everything on there, like literally every type of genre you could think of, from rock and roll to shoegaze to pop to even weirder things like vaporwave or nerdcore. Really, any type of thing that you can search for on there and find an artist I'm sure that you would love to listen to. So again, that's blackbandcamp.info. It's a fantastic site, but yeah, definitely take part in Bandcamp Friday, happening this Friday. Again, all proceeds go to the artists, and I can't recommend it enough. It's a great way to get new music, and it's a great way to support people, and that's what we got to do right now. But that's it for my update now, because it's been 5 minutes, so I'm going to pass it back over to Joseph.
Well, thank you so much for that, Mick. I don't know if you can hear me or not. Hopefully you can.
Hear you.
At least.
Now I can't hear you.
I was going to say, I think he might be frozen, so
If that have a little bit of technical difficulties. I don't know what's going on over here, but nice some green. So Lita will bleed in whenever she. I'm still here. Can you hear me? Can you see me? I'm still
Now
muted.
Yes, you're moving kind of fast because the technology is trying to catch up with everything that you said so far. So it was very kind of chipmunky, but
No, that's good. That's a good thing. I look a little max headroom, hopefully. All right. So what I want to do is just talk about these last couple companies, and that's it for the rest of the show. WeGo LLC is a local option and locally owned service in Fort Lauderdale, Florida as well. If you can pre-plan your trip, you can make your life a lot easier. If you need a ride to or from work, or if you need your shopping done, they will do it for you and even take care of your dirty laundry. And God knows we all have got dirty laundry. No touch, minimal contact options are available. Drivers and delivery people will all be wearing face masks and shields and sanitizing after each customer. Visit wegolllc.app to learn more. Plan your trip 24 hours in advance because services are subject to availability. I think, Rajee, you're going to probably have a rainstorm coming down close to you shortly because I don't know what I heard, but it sounded like rain by me. If you are looking for a cleaning solution in the Wilton Manors Middle River Terrace area of Fort Lauderdale, do I have the answer for you? Yes, I do. Trustworthy Cleaners has been cleaning houses, vacation rentals, pools, boats, and cars for over 10 years. They do have some new procedures and protective measures, but they are and ready to help serve you. No new contact available. If you can, Trustworthy Cleaners 3334 at gmail.com. That's Trustworthy Cleaners 333-04433304.com. And Kat Rio. Kat comes to your house. She provides a custom haircut that will suit your individual personality. You'll never have to worry about looking like anyone else ever again. You can stand out from all the rest. Kat Rio will come to you 7 days a week, and she will make your life easier. You can stay safer at home, just like me and a lot of other people out there that are afraid to be out in public. If you live in the Fort Lauderdale near Wilton Manors area, you just have to text message her 954-984-4040. That's 954-984-4040. Or visit her website, catriocuts.com. You can help support a local business in your neighborhood. So back to the topics. Oh my goodness gracious. Seriously, Rajee and Mick.
You're kind of breaking up.
Making my brain spin. Now I'm going to shift it over. I'm still here. I'm still here. Can you see me?
Yeah, now we can, but we missed kind of what you were saying. You had basically just said both of our names and then you went silent. So there is only so much you could interpret.
Okay, so I believe that it is working properly now. Hopefully, I don't have a week, but it's possible that I might. If either one of you want to continue for a moment, go ahead and do that.
All good. I mean, I guess it's now with, well, really more than anything, I think this is just kind of surreal to think, like, Rajee, like, did you even realize that next week is going to be July? Like, I know that it's something that I've been thinking about, but thinking that we're 7 months into this year, like, starting this week, I think is really kind of blowing my mind. I think that 7 months have gone by and all but 2 of those have basically been spent inside.
I know. I was thinking, actually today, I was like, oh my God, next week's July 4th. And this July 4th is going to be a very different July 4th than the normal ones or the ones that we're used to because, you know, everything's canceled. Beaches are closed. There's no, I guess, quote unquote, July 4th celebrations per se. I mean, I'm sure people will be, you know, lighting firecrackers and fireworks in their neighborhood, but, you know, it's going to look very different than what we're used to. And it's something about this 2020. When, you know, when the new year hit, I was thinking, wow, you know, a start of a new decade, 2020 is going to be a great year. But I think what I'm seeing as the year goes on is that 2020 is going to be a year that many of us will never forget. And I think there's a lot of things happening on so many different levels here on the planet. There's some sort of metamorphosis going on. And I can't really call it yet, I'm not sure, but there's something going on with our existence here on the planet. You know, because we got the political thing here in this country, we have the racial thing, the COVID worldwide. So yeah, definitely.
No, I agree. And it's bizarre to think about just the fact that it's now our 7th month in, and things in a lot of ways are very different. In a lot of ways they're still the same, because I mean ultimately there's no vaccine right now. So it's, regardless of what people think, it's not safe to go outside just because there is no vaccine right now. It's not like we even have anything in terms of like, oh, like eating this food will reduce your chance of getting the virus, or only this portion of the population needs to avoid the virus. Like, there's still so much that we don't know about it, and that's all that we've been focused on for the past, not all that we've been focused on, but that has been the focal point for the past 5 months. And like the fact that things are still like kind of just in a limbo is a lot to think about. And it's just, it makes me think about how just, I think that this year is kind of a wrap. Like, my roommate and I have basically talked to another friend of ours yesterday about how we are gearing up for the fact that like this year for the holidays, like come Thanksgiving and Christmas and whatnot, like I'm preparing to maybe not be going home this year, which is a bummer. I love going home for the holidays, and I think it's a great time for me to be back home because it's a nice little change of pace weather-wise. But I don't think that that's necessarily going to be a thing unless there is a vaccine, or unless there is a rapid drop in cases, which that's clearly not happening right now. And to kind of close that off, I think that this week, even though it's the 4th of July and it's supposed to be a time to celebrate, not only is it not a time to celebrate because of the current climate in terms of like all the protests that are going on, and like with Black Lives Matter being in the cultural zeitgeist again and stuff like that, I don't think that it's appropriate to really be celebrating America right now. And then on top of that, why would you want to celebrate a country that in this week we're probably going to see the numbers climb even more, and it's going to get even worse, and people are going to point fingers at each other. And yeah,
Well, let me change the topic from what it was to something much more upbeat. Exercise for pets and people. I'm having some technical difficulties, and we'll see how it works out. Hopefully, I can see both of my co-hosts, and hopefully this will continue moving forward in a positive direction. So, exercise for pets and for people. There are many benefits for exercise. According to a well-being survey, over 335,050 adults done a Gallup poll, 51.6% of Americans report exercising 3 or more days per week for at least 30 minutes. Not surprisingly, demographics played a role in the likelihood of a person getting regular exercise. People who tended to exercise the most were aged 18 to 26. Unfortunately, for the three of us, we are well past those numbers. I think, Mick, I think you're past those numbers as well. But they also earned more than $90,000 a year, and they lived in the Western states and were male. Regardless of other demographics, obese people were the least likely to exercise regularly, with 41.8% exercising 3 or more days per week. Exercise recommendations. The American College of Sports Medicine, considered a top fitness authority, recommends that adults accumulate at least 30 minutes of moderate physical activity at least 5 days per week for basic fitness. If you want to up the ante to be vigorous, exercise intensely for 30 minutes per day per week. You'll get more benefits. So my question for you both is, how much exercise do you both get? I take a bike ride for approximately 35 minutes every single day. And then I do yard work, and then I do handyman work. So how much exercise do you get a day, or do you set aside, because it's very difficult to do it. And it was a very conscious effort and decision that I made to go ahead and commit to that.
Yeah, well, I know for me, that's an area that I'm really lacking in. I mean, well, I get overheated really fast. I'm a hot girl in more ways than one. And so with these masks, and when I go out, I find myself sweating a lot. And like when I get home, I'm so wiped out. I'm like, thank God for air conditioning in my car, because I would literally explode. I mean, that's how I feel. Like I'm gonna literally like pass out because it's so hot, and the humidity, and just, you know, with the mask and all of that. And, you know, the masks are necessary, so we have to do it. So, yeah, I'm lacking in that area. I haven't really exercised for years. Like, you know, where I have like a routine, maybe half an hour a day sort of thing. I haven't done that for a real long time. Recently, with the situation I'm dealing with my health, I started to think about how I could possibly do that. And I shared last week what happened with me with, you know, my glucose level going up above 500 and all of that. So I'm really looking at like my diet now, and also some sort of exercise. For me, what I think I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to try yoga, because it's low impact, but it's still really good. And I think for me that might work. So I'm going to look into maybe doing some sort of yoga.
Mick,
Yeah.
over to you.
Oh, for sure. No, I wasn't sure if you had passed it on to me. For me, when it comes to exercise, I try to work out like 4 days a week, and I work out at home. I developed a workout routine actually in college when I started doing dance classes, because I would have dance classes two out of the 5 days of the week. So on the days where I didn't have dance, I would use the warm-ups that I learned from those dance classes as my workout for the day, because one of my classes had a very, very intense warm-up. My teacher literally called it the warm-up, and it was our midterm for the semester where we had to do it on our own without any help. And the only way that you really remembered it was because it was set to a playlist, which I think that the best way, well, first I should preface this with, like I said, I work out at home, and I know a lot of people don't like working out at home because they don't maybe think that they have the space for it. There's not a ton of equipment that you can keep at your house. And it's just, people want to keep that like working out separate from the place where they kind of like rest and vegetate and whatnot. For me personally, I don't have the money to pay for a gym membership, and right now I'm not going to the gym because that's a terrible idea. If you're going to the gym right now, think about that. But I have found that working out at home is really great. I have a 25-pound dumbbell, I have a yoga mat, and I have a pull-up bar that I stick in between my doorway. And it's like you can do so many different exercises that way. You can do a lot of body weight exercises if you do like push-ups at home, if you do leg lifts, if you do planks, stuff like that. Like you can do a lot of exercises at home. And I think a great way to get into the habit of that is to build up a playlist that has a set routine to it. So maybe you start off with one song and you're like, all right, this is my warm up. This is when I do all of my stretches, and I do this stretch for 8 counts, and this stretch for 8 counts, and this for another 8, and this for another 8. And then that way, because I think part of the problem that people have when they first start working out is they're wondering, all right, like, what do I do next? Like, I know that I'm working on my body, but like, what do I start out with? What comes after that? Like, how do I keep myself on track? And I think if you make a playlist for yourself, that's a really great way to just kind of time yourself out. If you know that your playlist is 45 minutes, you know that you're getting in 45 minutes worth of working out. And the playlist itself will keep you going on top of just keeping you in check and reminding you like, oh, this is the song where I do push-ups, or this is the song where I do bicep curls or whatever, then it also just provides like that little bit of boost. Like when you get to like the second or third to last song, you think, all right, perfect. Like this song, it's only this song and then 2 more songs and then I'm done. And it really just kind of helped me get onto a schedule. And I still use my workout playlists from time to time. I'll use them a lot more if I'm really like, all right, I'm going to do like a certain routine. But I find that it really helped. I found that it really helped me to develop a habit of working out at home just by telling myself, okay, I press play on my computer and it goes through my speaker or whatever. And then I know, all right, as long as that music is playing, I'll be going for a half an hour or 45 minutes. And then when it's, you don't have to fidget about with anything else. And then when it's done, it's done. Because the other thing is I find that if I'm doing stuff from my phone, like I'm timing myself from my phone, or I am changing up the songs all the time from my phone, it's so easy. Like you're just like, oh, the timer went off after you've been doing your plank, and then you come out of your plank and you turn the timer off, and then you're like, oh, I'm already in here, like I'll just unlock my phone, and then you go from there into Twitter, you go from there into your text messages. So it's another great way to just kind of keep your hands free but still be entertained for a little bit. So I highly recommend figuring out what exercises it is that you want to do and what things you want to work on, and then put that to a playlist, and then just make that playlist your routine for like a month. Just be like, okay, every single day I'm going to have this routine where I do my stretches, my exercises, my cool down, and then like my stretches at the end or something. I think that that's one of the easiest things that people can do.
That makes perfect sense, Mick, actually. And what you and Rajee both mentioned ties in very closely to our pets, believe it or not. And that was part of what I was bringing back up. Contrary to popular belief, you do not need to invest a lot in things in order to keep your dog healthy indoors, which is not dissimilar to what you just mentioned. Very simple things. Oftenly, you can easily attain the goal of exercise just around your home, inside your home. One simple way of keeping your dog physically fit, this big lump of dog next to me laying on the ground, is have them run up and down the stairs. If you don't have stairs, do what I do. Get a ball, throw it, make her bring it back, get a ball, throw it back and forth over and over again. And I guess in theory, what you could do is do the same thing with yourself. Take something, throw it. If you don't have something of a weight, if you're doing some kind of action, it's better than having nothing. Something where people can actually create obstacle courses in your own home. You could maybe move a chair in front of the dog, or you could move, I think some of those things also probably transfer to people as well. And then you can hide and seek some of their favorite treats. So maybe after every 10th push-up, you get to have an Oreo, Mick or Rajee. And back in the day, believe it or not, before there was a playlist, Rajee knows, we had mix tapes or a CD, a compact disc. So, and they used to have mega mixes. So we would put them in and we would exercise and do calisthenics and all those kind of things. So you don't even need to look at your phone. You can just turn on your radio for 5 minutes and then change the radio, an old-fashioned radio with batteries. But I love the idea of what you're talking about, Mick, because you're basically saying that you need to set up some structure and find some things, even lifting a milk carton that's full. If it's not full, fill it with water. That's at least probably 5 pounds. You could probably even lift up, a piece of furniture, or you could do a push-up off of your end table. A lot of different things that are possible for you to be able to do. Tug of war is a good thing that dogs love to do. I never know when she's going to rip my arm out of my shoulder because she's so big. She really tugs really hard. And I'm always concerned that her neck is going to snap, but she loves to do it. And most importantly, to round it out with what you said, Mick, consistency is key. Make sure to do it regularly. Whatever it is that you're going to do, find a rhythm, stick to your plan, do it over and over again, whether it's 5 minutes. If no one is exercising right now, if they just take 5 minutes a day, it's better than nothing. I apologize. Someone was just trying to get a hold of me, but it's too close to the end of the show. They're going to have to watch the next time. Anyways, I think consistency is key, clearly, and setting up some kind of plan is better than having no.
Oh, did we lose them again?
Yeah, I think so.
You know, that's maybe that's another episode
for your actual health routine. Benefit, not difficult to benefit. To apartment. Say that again.
Oh, Joseph, you're kind of going. You're kind of going in and out. You're
Yeah,
I didn't hear everything that you said. Like I would maybe even start it from the beginning because it basically
apparently when someone to zoom in. Yeah, it's very likely that it switched to both of you while I wasn't talking. Well, it wasn't.
No, yeah, this is
Well, such is the world. There's all this wonderful technology, but sometimes it doesn't work, you know.
I think that should be our next topic where we talk not necessarily about technology, but we could just talk about the internet. Like I think that we could really go, we'd maybe have to streamline it a little bit because it's such a broad topic, but I'm not sure. But we've talked about broad topics before, but I think that just talking about like the internet itself and how like connection speeds kind of, I mean, with what's happening right now on this call, I mean, the fact that the connection is bad, it means that like our things get interrupted. So I guess I am now the head of this chat for the time being, but I think Joseph will be back sooner rather than later.
But, so, you know, the good thing is we have something like this to, you know, do a show during these times. And even before, I mean, you know, the technology is, I think for the most part, a wonderful gift. But, you know, it's not perfect. It's not perfect, so.
Yeah, very true. All right, so I see Joseph is back. Your thing isn't moving though, Joseph, and I can't hear anything that you say, so just letting you know. But yeah, I mean, like you were saying, Rajee, it's like we're lucky enough to even be able to have this opportunity to be able to like chat with each other and put our views out there and have our fans, which thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And we're glad that we're able to update you guys with what's going on week to week and talk to you about like what we do. Yeah, Joseph, you're still a little glitchy, just a little bit.
And it looks like we have another guest.
Yeah, I know Marty's here. I'm not sure if he's got his mic on or anything.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Marty.
How you doing, Marty?
I'm doing fantastic. Hey, Rajee, good to see you again. You're looking gorgeous as ever.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. I love to be flattered, and flattery will get you everywhere. How have you been?
I've been wonderful. I told Joe earlier that Sunday is my total veg day, so I've been vegging all day, and I wanted to pop in. I know he was going to end the show soon, but I wanted to pop in just real quick just to say hi.
Well, we're glad you stopped by.
Thank you so much, Marty. Thank you so much, Marty, for popping in. I'm having some technical.
Yeah, you're pretty glitchy. You're pretty glitchy right now, Joe. But
difficulties on my end for some reason. I know. And Hey, buddy, you know what? Sometimes it happens. Sometimes but you're still
Yeah.
pretty. So I think the best thing to do at this point is thank Rajee as well as our over 4,000 viewers 2 weeks in a row, very likely 3 weeks in a row. And, and also say hello.
Oh,
Oh boy. Looks like we
Just
may have to
project
close the show.
hey Joseph, you're still a
Marty,
little
was there
glitchy.
Talk
anything?
about the weather.
Marty,
All
was there
right,
anything you wanted
that's
to
pretty
share with
much
us?
it for.
Oh.
Yeah, Joe, you're really glitchy. So I'll just say goodbye to everybody. Joe, I'm sure we'll talk. We'll talk technical stuff probably tomorrow. But anyway, I just want to pop in real quick to say hi to everybody and hope you have a great night and hope you have a wonderful week coming up.
Thanks, you
Hey,
too, Marty.
thank
Thanks for
you.
stopping by.
All right,
Yeah.
take care.
Take care. I love that radio voice.
But yeah, I think maybe it may be our time to slowly fade
Close
the
the
show.
So yeah, it's close. It's close. The show sounds fact is a couple of different people try to pop in is saying goodbye to everyone. We'll see everyone next week and hopefully be glitch free. But that's what happens sometimes with the live show. Rajee, do you want to say anything?
No, just thanks for watching. Have a great week, everyone. Love, peace, good health, prosperity, and many wonderful blessings.
Yeah, same here. I wish everyone the best. Please be safe out there. Wear a mask if you go anywhere. Really though, unless you're going to a protest or unless you're going to your doctor, you really probably shouldn't be going anywhere. Wear a mask if you're going anywhere, and those places that you're going to should only be protests or your doctor or someone in very, very, very dire need. There's really no other reason you guys should be going anywhere. Really think about what you're doing this week in terms of 4th of July. Do you really want to be celebrating the 4th of July? Do you really want to be celebrating this country this week? I think that is something you might also want to think about. And also, just make sure you're also keeping yourself healthy and that you're not getting caught up in everything or you're not letting everything that's happening right now get to you too much, because as we talked about before, mental health is something that even though it affects all of us, it's not like we're all really well versed in how to deal with it. So make sure you're keeping yourself mentally sharp as well as physically sharp. But yeah, I think that's it for the show this week. I'm going to pass it over to Joseph now. And have a great week, guys.
All right, thank you so much, Mick. We'll see if it pops over to me or not, or if I frozen. Apparently I haven't. So the topic for next week is weather and natural phenomena like quakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, thunderstorms, tornadoes, all of that. Interested to talk about next week is something completely different. Yeah, sort of things that are unique, including rainbows, like the three of us. So glitchy. And I want to thank all of our more than 4,000 viewers, to Rajee, Rajee, my Southern Exposure.site. You can get a hold of Mick at Mick@Exposure.site. Thank you so much. We will see you next week, and I hope you all have a good week. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Oh my God, that was crazy.